How are we doing, Bills? Welcome back to another Shumi T video on the crypto market. As I mentioned in the previous video, we are roughly 50% through the bear market now on Bitcoin, which from the high at 126k back in October of 2025, we are now down so far 44%, but overall we've been down 52%, and as we've seen in the last two cycles, we go down 84% and 76% on average. In 2018 bear market, in 2022 bear market, the 4-year cycle bear markets, and in 2026 so far we've seen we're about 6 months through this bear market so far, and if we update this you can see we're about 182 days through this bear market. In the previous two, 364 days, a day short of a year, and 378 days, just over a year. And right now, if the history was to repeat, there's no guarantees that we're going to have a year worth of a bear market, a 52-week bear market. But as things are playing out, and as the similarities we're seeing with the 2017 top, 2021 top, and 2025 top, it's making sense that we get a 4-year cycle low later this year. And that would take roughly another 5 months, unless we get an early 4-year cycle low. And loads of other charts I want to break down in this video. I've got 8 Bitcoin charts. I've got the total crypto market cap to cover, the total 2, the total 3, the others chart, Ethereum, Solana, stablecoin dominance, both USDC, USDT, the combination of both, and the total DeFi chart. But as I said, loads of Bitcoin charts to get into as well. So before we get into the rest of this video, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn the notification bell on, and for everyone else, smash this video, smash the like button on the video, and let's get into this video. Now, firstly, before we look at the Bitcoin charts and the total crypto market cap charts, just looking at stablecoin dominance alone, if we look at the circle dominance here at 3.2%, again, just it looks completely bullish to me in here. This looks very bullish. We can see been in a massive uptrend since December 2024, so it's been a very long time. With that peak for altcoins in March in 2024 and December in 2024, again altcoin local highs, euphoria in the market, and since then stablecoin dominance grinded up from December 2024 when Donald Trump came in, all the way to the tariff fears back in April when they peaked, and we got a 90-day pause. We then come down and we get to about 1.6%, and then we start grinding up, and we get to this massive trend line from June of 2022 where we touched in January 2023, we touched with the tariffs in April of 2025, and then we're here where we're going to get rejected here in October of 2025, potentially, and then we had that massive 19.6 billion liquidation, and it's the biggest liquidation we've ever seen in crypto. It's 10 times the size of the liquidation we saw with COVID. We saw altcoins, some altcoins losing 90% of their value within minutes, and it was all tied down to Binance. If you know what happened, you know what happened. And yeah, since then, I think that 19.6 billion liquidation confirmed a bear market. And around that time, when we had that crash at the start of October, Bitcoin was at 126k. And since then, obviously, Bitcoin's now down at 70 odd k. And we're 6 months into the bear market, which I showed on the opening chart, which we'll go back to later in this video. But that confirmed it. But the stablecoin dominance charts for me are a cheat code into the market. So we can basically see from this trend line down, this blue trend line, this was the worst part of the bear market, and we come all the way down. When we're in here, we're still in the bull run, and then here when we lose that we then enter the bear market again. So anywhere under this trend line, we were in the bull run, and then when we break out, we're into a bear market. And again, since October time, we've been in a bear market, and to me, things look like they're going to only get worse from here. We break up, we have this bull flag on the circle dominance, we then break up, we'll have a massive impulse at the start of February, up to 3.4%, and in here, for me, we're just getting ready to have another impulse, and I'm targeting up to about 6.7% on circle dominance this bear market from between now and the end of the year. And from 3.2%, that is quite a big jump. That would be the circle dominance basically doubling in value if we were to come and basically sweep these highs up here. I don't know how it would happen. Imagine we just keep doing this until the end of the year, sweep these lows, and it would be in here, this area where everyone would be sidelined. Everyone's sidelined, giving up on crypto. And for me, that would be peak entry. So this is what I'm looking for. Something like this up here in this area. If we can come and sweep the previous bear market from 2022, that's 7.2%. Either sweep it or we make a new high for the circle dominance. This is the chart I'm looking at. Let's see if something like this plays out. And this is exactly why I'm risk off at the minute, alongside many other factors which I'm going to get into in this video. And we know Circle's at 3.3%. I look at Tether, which is 7.7%, so obviously Tether is a more commonly used stablecoin than Circle, but they're both in the top 10 for the cryptos. If you look at the top 10 market cap cryptos, you've got Bitcoin first, Ethereum second, and I think it's fourth and seventh. Fourth is Tether, and I think seventh is Circle. I'll need to double check that, but they're both in the top 10 for cryptos by market cap, so they are massive. And what we see on Tether is we're a lot closer to the 4-year high that we've seen back in 2022 on the Tether dominance, which got up to 9.9%. We can see we've already wicked into the area at the start of February, and right now it's kind of like a bull flag. We see we come up when we get the 19.6 billion liquidation, we breach this trend line from 2023, and we break up, we bull flag, we break up, we're kind of bull flagging again, and I'd expect this to go up to a 4-year high. Obviously, I've previously explained when we come down, when stablecoin dominance comes down, it's bullish, we get altcoin peaks, and when it goes up, it's bearish. We have problems in the market, like in here in October of 2024, when we come into this area of resistance at 6.5%, there was Japan market problems. Again, in April 2025, there was tariff problems. So we can see during the bull run, that was altcoin local bottoms, max pain, and down here was altcoin highs, euphoria in the market. And this is why using the stablecoin dominance charts, the Tether dominance, the circle dominance, can give us insight into the market. And I love these charts. But as I previously mentioned, stablecoin dominance in a bull flag is bearish for crypto, and then Bitcoin in a bear flag is bearish for crypto. So that was the correlation I've been going on about for the last couple of weeks. For me, I'm still risk off because Bitcoin's in a bear flag and stablecoin dominance is in a bull flag, and that makes sense. If stablecoin goes up, altcoins are going to lose value, Bitcoin's going to lose value, and if Bitcoin's in a bear flag, obviously that justifies that. So again, kind of bullish pattern here, and again bullish pattern here, and for me I remain risk off in the market. And if we look at them both combined, we can see again this chart pattern, kind of this bull flag pattern, and this is all stemmed from the 19.6 billion liquidations in October, which was kind of, in hindsight, was the area that was probably best to get out. So if we again come up, sweep these highs in here, and take out the highs from the last bear market, something like that this time round. Again, when we're up here, risk off bear market, and when we're down here, bull market, risk on. So I think it's clear that we're in a bear market, and it's just been patient and waiting for the cheap prices. Prices are already cheap, but I think they can get a lot cheaper. And as we're seeing in the market, everyone's calling the bear market bottom, Bitcoin's bottomed, but for me, we've seen that we had that ceasefire agreement, and Bitcoin managed to bounce, 4K? And then JD Vance comes out the other day and says that they couldn't come to an agreement with Iran, and Bitcoin just loses all its value again. So trading the news is stupid, and I think cycles are in control. The 4-year cycle on Bitcoin is well and truly in control, in my opinion. And this is exactly the base case chart that I'm using on this channel. I just see us repeating 2014, 2018, 2022. Obviously, 2014 is not on this chart because it's truncated, and this is the capital.com chart, but all my other Bitcoin charts I'm using up, so this was the last one I could find to demonstrate the 4-year cycle. So let's just call this the 4-year cycle chart comparison, and we'll just keep looking at this chart and seeing how we play out on this one. So yeah, I think I've made it clear looking at stablecoin dominance charts and then this Bitcoin chart. And ultimately, I'm looking for Bitcoin in its bull market support band, which is just the 50 SMA and the 50 EMA on the weekly time frame. We can see in the orange and the yellow here. Like we've seen back in 2018, when we lose it, we come up, we backtest it in here before going lower. And eventually, when we break this downtrend from 2017 high, we go off to Valhalla. Again, 2021 high, we come down, we lose the 50 bull market support band, we come down, we backtest it the same as we backtested in July of 2018, we backtested in March of 2022 before coming down. Again, we break this trend line and off to Valhalla. Again, this time round, we've come down, we lost the bull market support band, we backtested it in here on the 12th of January before continuing lower. And it's just, for me, it's about breaching this trend line and again being off to Valhalla. Every time we've reached the trend line, 15x and a 600% move, obviously diminishing returns, but we can see what a 15x here, that was when we had money printing, whereas this time round you can also say from the floor in November 2022 up to the bear market high, Bitcoin's moved nearly 700%. When we've had QT, we've had money printing, they've been trying to run off their balance sheet. For example, if I was to go and overlap, yeah, let's look at the balance sheet. We can see if we overlay the balance sheet here, that basically from April 2022, the Fed have been shrinking their balance sheet, and in that time, Bitcoin, as I've just said, has managed to do a 700% move, which is just remarkable. Again, if we remove that from the chart and see, so again, this was a QE money printing cycle, got 59x. This was a QT money shrinking, no money printing, run off the balance sheet, 7x. So this time round, people are expecting we're going to get money printing. And what is that going to lead for Bitcoin? I think Bitcoin's going to do superbly well. I think Bitcoin assets such as MicroStrategy, for example, Coinbase, all these stocks I think will do well as well, hopefully. So it's not just Bitcoin I'm looking at other, you could call them beta assets, which you would expect to do a lot more than Bitcoin. So said Bitcoin was to do a 7x next cycle, I'd be looking at other assets to do better than that. So loads of things to look forward to, even though we're 6 months into a bear market, roughly another 50% to go if we're repeating what's historically happened. But in that period, it presents loads and loads of opportunities, which is why I'm sticking around. And then again, looking at our beloved chart on this channel, the 2022 versus 2026 fractal, which again, as I said, the price action isn't repeating, but the theory is what I'm kind of going off. If we get the 2021 top, we go into the bear market a year later, we bottom from November top to a year later we bottom. That's kind of what I'm looking for here again. October peak 2025, so an October bottom 2026, somewhere in here hopefully. And what we can see is last time we come down, we tested the trend line and we go lower. This time we've come down, we've tested the trend line, we come down. It looks like we're testing the trend line again, so we need this trend line to reject in here. If we break this trend line, let's see what happens. But for me, still well and truly in a bear market, and I'm looking at the 0.786 fib, which we've got below the last 3 bear cycles in 2014, 2015, 2018 and 2022. Like we can see in here, just below 18k when Bitcoin got into this area in here, just below the 0.786 from the bear market low to high. Again, this is where I've taken it from, this November 2022 low up to the high in here, and we can see we'll be targeting just below the 40k area, which is kind of what I'm targeting in here. So yeah, that is where this comes from. This is the fractal taken from here, as we can see, taken from here and chucked on over here to see how we play out again. But that is what I'm looking at. Again, the 4-year highs to 4-year lows, it's just the base case on this channel. If I zoom in right now on the weekly time frame, you can see from the peak in October, come down, bear flag, come down, bear flag, and we're currently in this bear flag, which has been going on for the last couple months, just over a couple months. So let's see how that plays out. But I'm expecting lower later this year. That is just my view on the market. Everyone might be different. So yeah, I'm by no means an expert. I'm just giving my take and looking at previous data in the market and seeing what we can draw from. And yeah, again, if you look at Bitcoin on the 1 week time frame, this massive support where we're bouncing 2018-19, COVID, we just went below it. December 2022, and we're at this area again. Will it hold? This is the case for the people that are saying that Bitcoin's bottomed if this area holds. But again, this is kind of like a rising wedge, which would essentially break to the low. So cover that chart, cover that chart. This one, just the 52-week bear market denial before capitulation. These all look pretty identical. And again, if we were to zoom in, bring up my bear flag again, which is what I've been talking about for weeks now. Again, I've said I've been open to getting the CME gap going into it, which would be, I've obviously deleted it, but yeah, this 81k CME gap, I wouldn't be objected to coming up and filling that before going into the bear market even more, or leaving it open. But obviously they act as magnets of liquidity. Again, I was wanting to cover Solana, Ethereum, all the total chart, total 2, total 3 in the others chart, but to be honest, I'm not going to have time for that today. This video is already about 17 minutes long, so I will cover that in the next video. So if you're still here and you're still watching, please hit that like button, and I will see you in the next one.